Good evening. My name is PJ Colello, and I am the president of the National Intercollegiate Lacrosse Officials Association that you have just recently joined. So let me officially congratulate you at joining our over 1,100 members nationwide. And I thought I would start off by reading who we are. So this is directly out of the bylaws. Uh, the primary purpose of NILOA is to promote the sport of men's lacrosse at the collegiate level by providing officials nationwide for NCAA and MCLA games, by providing training, certification, services, and representation for all men's collegiate officials, and by providing a forum to men's collegiate officials in which to raise and address their ideas and concerns. Central to the mission of NILOA is the establishment of relationships with the NCAA, the MCLA, and to provide certified officials to officiate games involving their member institutions within the appropriate rules and established mechanics. Gentlemen, we are a primary stakeholder in the sport of collegiate men's lacrosse. And as part of that, we take that role as stakeholder, as one of the primary caretakers of this sport, very seriously. And tonight, it is our hope to give all of you a better sense of who we are nationally, the expectations during the course of the season, and to touch on a few aspects of the way we run our organization. I do want to mention that this this upcoming weekend, is our national convention in Baltimore. It starts with a social event Friday evening and continues on to our education and NCAA presentation for the lion's share of the day on Saturday, finishing in the early afternoon. It certainly is not mandatory that you are there. You should definitely try and get there over the first couple of years of your career. You will be required to attend one of your regional district meetings where you'll get an opportunity to meet the people in your district. And, it's wonderful to try and get to at least a convention within the first couple of years of your membership in NILOA to get a bit broader sense of who we are nationally. Guys, the gentlemen that are presenting this evening, we took a quick little tally, have over 200 years of collective experience in NILOA and out on the field officiating collegiate lacrosse at the very highest level. I like to think that we are a group that cares passionately about our membership. We're a group that tries to support and advance our membership and tries to look to the future in the hopes that we can be better each and every year than we were the year before. So we've got a full slate. I won't keep you any longer. We are going to go a little bit out of order.
I'm on here, PJ.
What's that?
I'm on.
Mike, why don't you take us out, and then right after you, we're going to go out of order, and we're going to go right into Walt Muncie.
Okay,
So
great.
Mike, why don't you lay the foundation, and then we'll move over to Walt.
Yep. Good evening. Welcome, new NILOA officials. I'm Mike Infantino, membership chair. I do have some notes to reference. It's great to enroll 82 of you this fall, the class of 2022. It's nice to see some of your faces as well. This is the inaugural new officials seminar. Thanks to PJ Colillo and his vision, Kevin O'Leary and Mark McGinnis with their work in putting together this night, and the rest of the NILOA executive board. Recruitment has always been an important part of NILOA's charge, and this year we are pleased to welcome you from 10 districts throughout the country, from East Coast to West Coast. Or another way of saying it, 7 feet of snow to glorious sunshine. As membership chair, I've been following your progress since your application. I've been helping monitor the needed requirements and the checkoffs. PJ calls it compliance control. You have come to us with high standards and good recommendations. We want to congratulate you on a job well done. We have accomplished many things to get to this point. You guys have taken care of business. From the application, communication with governors, and performing well at the tryouts, you've done a great job. NILOA members not only perform well on the field, but we also encourage our guys to get things done in a timely manner. Keep it going into the season, a few more things to do, and of course, in the years to come. Most of you have completed all new member requirements, including payment of initiation fees through ZebraWeb, U.S. Lacrosse membership, and ordered shirts and jackets. If you have not already done these things, tomorrow is the day to do it. The season is approaching. You should know your ability and your availability are both important in being a successful college official. Completion of all these tasks moves you to active membership status on the NILOA website, which gives you access to all training and education materials, which you will be introduced to in a few minutes. We would also like to acknowledge the work and the commitment of your governors to get you to this point. Without their help, none of this would happen for you. They too are committed to identifying good new NILOA members and have worked hard in setting up tryouts, communicating with you, and even assigning your triple-digit numbers. Governors will continue to be your point person for the coming year. It is the hope that in the future you will get connected with a mentor that will guide you in the years to come and help you with your career in college officiating. But for now, governors are there for you. They are good guys and they like to help and organize. So in closing, well done. You've gotten off to a good start. You've taken care of business in a professional manner. NILOA is pleased to help grow the game and recruit new promising officials. Good luck, enjoy your journey, and let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Michael, thank you so much. You do a phenomenal job as our membership chair. Somebody's got to be that compliance guy, and you help us check all those boxes. I'm going to turn this over to a mentor of ours to talk about one of the programs that NILOA runs through a wide variety of financing sponsorships, through conferences, through agreements that have been negotiated over the years by our executive director, Kevin O'Leary, and that is the NILOA Observation Program. We are responsible in large part for making sure that our officials get seen, that those reports are codified, and that and we want to make sure that we get the best product possible out on the field. And a big part of that is through our observation program. So one of the best observers that we have in the United States of America is Walt Muncie, and he's going to speak about that observation program right now.
Okay, PJ, thanks, and certainly congratulations to all the new guys coming in. I think I can speak for myself and maybe a few others. I'd love to be able to trade places with you. You've got a great run ahead of you. My presentation was supposed to be at the end. We reshuffled it a little bit for various reasons, but at any rate, my line would have been, if I was last in a game, as a fellow official, Steve Miller, often said, as we narrowed down to inside of 2 minutes, that we've all been good waiters, and let's make sure we don't spill the dessert. Well, sometimes we did spill the dessert, but not often. The thing what we're going to show first is, and you probably haven't seen it because you were not NILOA members at the time you did your tryout, but this is the report card. This is the observation form. Might be a little difficult to read. I'm not going to read down through every one of those categories, but you can see that it goes from physical fitness, communication, all the way down to the last thing being receptive to feedback. Face-offs are covered, obviously, and mechanics and game management. And then the score goes needs improvement, meets NILOA standards, and exceeds standards. It's possible that something was not observed, and that box will be checked. And down at the bottom, the observer will then write a more personal commentary of highlighting some of the things. If there's something that needs improvement, he's going to refer to it. And certainly if something is exceeds, will be a positive note in that respect as well. So that form is filled out by the observer and it's entered into ZebraWeb. And you will then receive your observation form. And if there's any concerns, obviously you should feel free to contact and get back and continue any discussion if there's some aspect of that report that you want to have some more information and training. So that's the observation form. Before we move on to my next point, we'll keep it right where it is, Greg. Sometimes an observer might say, you know, you got to hustle more. Well, what the heck what do you mean by hustle? Does that mean accelerate? Well, it might be that, but it probably means more, because if that's all it was, anybody could do it. So moving faster is one kind of hustle, but there's more. There's mental hustle. You got to be able to make snap decisions under pressure. That's important. And then there's the philosophical hustle, recognizing what situations call for a firm hand or a gentle approach. And as Mike Infantino would probably agree, I've often said, don't be that good. Those things are important. And I will tell you that it's important also as you develop, you'll get better with the no calls. No calls take a high level of confidence and maturity to see a play and be able to pass on it. And obviously, when you're first starting out, it's a tough spot. You can't afford to make too many mistakes. You make a mistake as a new guy, sometimes these coaches can be kind of hard on you. A more seasoned veteran can probably get away with making a mistake a lot easier. So hopefully you're concerned about trying to make those calls that need to be made and be able to work on calls that perhaps you can pass on. So tying the physical, mental, and philosophical things together, along with your rules and mechanics, help you become a better ref. Let's look at the 7 keys that I've listed, and I'll go through them quickly. Number 1, of course, is obvious. You got to be in decent shape. Okay, that's important. Take a look at the refs that you see in basketball on TV now. They're all chiseled out. They're looking pretty good shape. And that's what our game is demanding. Refs that are able to, cover the field and from beginning to end. Secondly, you got to be in a ready position. You got to be ready for whatever's coming next. It's probably the precursor of hustle. Sometimes you need to look like you're going to steal second. That's a mental picture for yourself. How a base runner looks like he's going to steal second. You got to be alert, ready, and in good position. Those things are important. How you look out there. 3, game awareness. This takes time during a game. When you're in the beginning of your training here, and as you're coming on to NILOA, you're going to be probably just focusing on what's happening. You're not thinking ahead as much as we want you to. But you got to understand game strategy, because those kind of things help you anticipate the play that's coming. If you understand what a team is trying to do, you'll probably be able to pick up that offsides, which is many times difficult to do. So whatever the play is, try to think of the overall strategy of what's going on. that gives you an ability to have an anticipation. Signals and enforcement. That's probably the time you need less hustle. We don't want you to rush signals. So take your time. Don't walk and talk. Don't be running to the end line, pointing as you run. Blow your whistle, stop, point. It just shows a confidence and in control. So take it easy on the signals. No need to hustle. Resuming play. It's not just about the restart that I'm talking about, but being in position after a timeout, being in position after any kind of stoppage of play. When a penalty's been given, that everyone is in position and you're ready to start play quickly. As far as your restarts are concerned, don't be pants on fire. Make sure that you control the game and that the players aren't taken off ahead of you. So if they do, have the confidence, blow that whistle, pop, 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 right back here, please. Bring them back. That shows control. Again, as you develop your own confidence and experience, you'll get better at that. Probably at the beginning, players are going to probably beat you a little bit, and you're not going to know whether really should you stop it or not. Listen, the game doesn't move anywhere until you're ready to go. So you control the game. Number 6, we don't see many people do this. In fact, Gail and I will probably tell you the only one we've seen do it. Take some pre-game notes and post-game notes. You bring a little notepad into the locker room. We've got a college ref. Actually, he's a big-time football ref. And he's the one that I see come in pre-game, opens his notebook, and post-game, same thing, writes his notes. So he's coming from a high level, and yet he's in there taking notes. And it's important for you. You create your own reminders, and don't dress while the post-game observer is going over your game. Make sure you sit there and let's get through the post game, and then you take care of what you got to take care of. Be attentive, of course, and stay positive. Many times an observer will ask you what you saw on a play. In fact, that happens probably more than the observer telling you stuff. So be ready to participate when you're asked. That's important. Lastly, you got to have a desire to improve. This whole deal is an ongoing process. I even stole some of the notes that I'm talking about today because I pick it up in a November 22nd referee magazine. And I'm deep in the back 9, but I'm still looking and reading articles and thinking about something and saying, boy, that's a pretty good point. I'm going to bring that up when I have the opportunity. So I've been around it, and I'm still learning, and I'm still reaching out and reading. Jeffrey Stern wrote the article. It's a great article. So maybe you guys will dig back into your stuff. So be patient. It's an ongoing process, and you've got a great start tonight. And congratulations on NILOA to set up this separate meeting for you, because it's kind of scary and uncomfortable coming into a major big meeting and you don't know anybody and you just don't know what's going on, and the level of comfort is not on your playing field. So this is a good opportunity to get a lot of information and some close-up stuff. So congratulations on your becoming a NILOA ref and on NILOA doing it. And PJ, I just wanted to let you know that we did ask, and KO has just accepted. I asked him to be on a Zoom on December 10th as the New York State Lacrosse Officials Association in the various central areas, various sections of the state. We have our annual meeting, and we've got a lot of different people on it. James Weaver's on it from NFHS. We have Marty Joyner from USA comes on and such. And I've asked Kevin to be on because NILOA has taken that step to reach down into the high school group and search out the refs that are sitting here tonight listening. So again, thanks to the program, the efforts on behalf of all you guys on the NILOA board that have done this. And we want to have Kevin have a chance to make that connection with the high school refs on our meeting. So best of luck, everybody. And any questions during the season, feel free to reach out. And I'll certainly help any way I can, and I know any one of these guys will as well.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you giving of your time this evening. A lot of valuable stuff there. Gentlemen, more than anything, you will continue to hear a continuing theme this evening. If you do not have a continued desire to improve, then this is not the organization for you. It is something that I require out of my employees. I know anybody who's ever coached, we talk about coachability. We talk about the ability, the desire to get better. And if you don't have that desire to get better, then it probably makes sense to not start, because you're just going to waste a lot of time if you don't have a desire to get better. Towards that end, I would like to introduce Brian Abbott. Brian Abbott is not only the NILOA Director of Education, he is also the NCAA Officials Liaison to the Rules Committee, to the NCAA Rules Committee. Brian is the past president of NILOA. He is a longtime Final Four official and does a phenomenal job for education and training and our organization, and has spearheaded those efforts in taking that to the next level. Brian, AKA BA, it is all yours.
Welcome, man. It's awesome to be part of this brotherhood. Take advantage of every opportunity. One of the most important things I can tell you is after the game, don't go home right away. Spend some time together and develop that bond. That helps a lot on that trust on the field. So when it comes to education, our mission is for you to know, but most importantly, understand the application of rules. Anybody can read a rule book and do this letter by, law, boom, 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 boom. You can't officiate that way because each situation is different. So learning to understand the why and officiate. I'll ask you a lot of times, and other signers and observers, why were you there? What did you see? Why did you make the call at that time? And that's not necessarily questioning your judgment. It is, do you understand why you're doing what you're doing? Because that's a really important piece of anything in life, but most importantly, officiating. Training. We do training over the summer, a big chunk in the fall, and the spring as well. When it comes to that training, being trainable, being coachable, and that means being open to criticism in a way that it's intended to make you better. So one of the things, if I train you at any of those times, I'm going to tell you at the end, I'm not going to tell you the things in writing that you did well, because we assume that you're doing everything else well. I'm going to point out 3 or 4 things that work on these things to get to the next level. Find a mentor. We work at Helping Place, but it's you making that connection and you reaching out to other guys that helps make you better. It shows that want to, and officials spread that word. Ask to drop in on a pregame from somebody, and that allows you to sit in on the post game. So there's a lot of opportunities you can take individually. If you can't find a lacrosse game on the internet nowadays, you're not looking. So there's plenty of opportunities to see that and then ask questions. One of the ways, again, is to have that mentor pick up the phone, make a call. But some other things when it comes to being trainable. Can't train you if you're not willing to throw flags. You got to be willing to make calls. Anybody can run up and down the field and look good, but we need you to make the little calls that make a difference. Get the ball off the ground. You can have control of the game, as Walt talked about. But again, understand those little things matter. Rules questions, if you have them, we have NILOA.net has a forum. There's a group of us that will review them. If they're simple, we'll shoot you out a quick response. If not, it may end up being one of our calls that will have Zoom calls or whatever forum we're using 10 times during the spring, typically every Thursday, and we'll address them then. And then that webinar will be posted as well, and we'll get things out in writing in a response to the forum. Another way you can go, if you have rules, questions, those things, email me. One of the things we don't want to do is inundate Tommy Abbott, our assigners, with those simple things. If you hit them on the forum or you hit them to me, we can collect all those different pieces and have them organized so that it's real efficient, so that the question you have might be the same question a guy 1,500 miles away has. So that really helps us out if you put those things out there. And most importantly, welcome, have a great time, know that rule book, and ask questions. PJ, that's all I got.
Thank you, Brian. Gentlemen, a few things that I want you to know before we move on to the next step. The NILOA forum was created under lock and key. The NILOA forum is not something that outside eyes get access to. We want to have a safe space where our members can ask questions and not have to worry about criticism or we deal with enough of that from people who don't understand what it is to wear stripes and be out on a field. So the search for knowledge is not weakness. The search for an explanation or clarification does not mean that you are less than. What it actually means is that you are interested in getting better. We are professionals who have an interest in getting better. This is not about ego. This is about sticking your ego up on that shelf and searching out that information for the people that are here. I also don't want people to be afraid, what happens if I'm not available every Thursday night? Everything we do is recorded. There's always a time frame with which to get things done, to watch things, and to speak about that now is one of the countless volunteers that we have that helps our organization run. Without people like Greg Height, we can't run our organization. So taking us now from upstate New York, stopping in Maryland to see Brian, and down to Florida now is, Georgia. Georgia, is Greg Height to take us through NILOA.net. Thank you, Greg. You're muted.
So as I like to say, I am the president of the NILOA Audiovisual Club. I have taken on the sort of content role here of updating our website, and I think there's some really good stuff that we've got here. So when you get to NILOA.net, you're going to go over to members and you're going to log in. This is going to give you all sorts of access to some really good training stuff from last year that you guys will have available to you. So immediately you come to the dashboard. You've got our post a forum question. It's pretty simple. You're gonna, it's anonymous. We do not know who posts these things. Type your question in. Try to make it as sort of clear as possible. Think about how an AR would be written in the rule book. We don't need a lot of ancillary details. You can upload video files. You can do all that. That goes to a number of different people, and BA and that team are going to work on answering that question for you. I'll go back to our dashboard here. We have our documents hub. there's a ton of great stuff here for you guys to check out. First off, I just uploaded the new 2023-24 rule PDF from the NCAA. So right here under lacrosse rules, you'll see that. This is the rules memo from 2023. If you're looking for district governors, if you're traveling somewhere and you want to find out who that governor is, we've got a list of all the governors and their emails. We've got the observation form that Walt was working on, coaches certification cards that are fillable on a PDF. We've got our NILOA dress code, our social media policy, and our financial reports. So there's a lot of information here. Let me take you over to a place where I think it's going to be really helpful for you guys to kind of start. And that's going to be the, let's go one more. There we go. The director's calls. So these were the calls that that BA was alluding to that will start up in January. Here's our schedule of those calls, and then these are all recorded video. So you know, none of you have really worked with a shot clock. I highly recommend the shot clock video. The crease call is really great. We did a really fantastic one, about best practices. We did one about general education. We did stuff about 10-man rides. There's a lot of really good stuff here. I would say one of the things that I do with a lot of these calls and a lot of these training opportunities, you can just listen to them in your car as an audio. You don't necessarily have to be looking at the video. So hopefully here's some stuff that you can go through and really get yourself up to speed pretty quickly. The other thing I will say is we've got our training events right here that Hans Wilberger is in charge of. So if you're looking for some of these Headstrong events or college scrimmages that are held in the fall, these are opportunities for you to either see great games if you're real new, but later on to come out and maybe sit in on a pregame. And you know, this is something that you can really strive to try to maybe get a shot at down the road. So if you see people from your district, you can chat with them about what that experience was like. You know, we've got our executive committee, our awards. If you have any problems with this site, just reach out to me and let me know if you're having any problems logging in, if you have any issues accessing anything, and I will try to get it straightened out as quickly as possible. But I think there's a wealth of information. The one thing I would really ask you to pay attention to is when you're changing your login for either ZebraWeb or NILOA.net, because an email address changes, a job changes, just make sure those two email addresses are the same. You can edit your user profile from the dashboard. But again, if you have any questions, you can let me know.
Thank you, Greg. Guys, one of the things that's very important is that NILOA is not a maid service. You have to do your own housekeeping. You're going to hear several steps here where things are going to be required of you. We are a very straightforward and simple organization. You either, if you switch emails, if you switch jobs, if you switch a phone number, it is incumbent upon you to get that done. If you all of a sudden find out that you have an availability conflict, that's up to you to get that squared away. We do not spend a lot of time babysitting. A reminder here, a reminder there, but there's an expectation that our members can clean their own rooms and make their own beds. I want to pass this off now to our Assistant Executive Director, who is in charge of all MCLA games. We're going to head out to the state of Utah for Joe Cronin, who is representing us in a lacrosse capacity right now, but this weekend will be officiating college football. So Joe, take it away for your midweek job.
Well, thanks, PJ, and welcome, guys. You know, officiating is a fraternity. and some of the best friends that you'll ever have, and mentors in life are going to be your fellow officials. So just quickly, I'll just go through the MCLA side of things. Those of you that live in districts that don't have NCAA games, you'll mostly be working MCLA games. And right now there's 9. If you want to go to the next slide, please. There are 9 lacrosse, non-varsity lacrosse conferences all over the country, including some in Canada. So the MCLA is very similar, and they govern on the same structure as the NCAA. We use the same rule books, the same mechanics, and we officiate the game the same way you would if you were working a Division I or Division II, III game. Next slide, please. There are 2 ways to get into your schedule and looking at your information, where you can put blocks in, where you can close dates, where you can go and cross-reference between the 2. All of you are probably aware of ZebraWeb, because that's where you had to pay your dues and go in, and that. The other side of that the MCLA is using currently is Arbiter Sports. And so if you are new to the game in one of those areas that has strictly MCLA, you'll probably be getting an invite by Arbiter Sports from your regional assigner. And I want to thank Bob Perdella, who is the person behind putting this PowerPoint presentation together. If we go to the next slide. So if you go into ZebraWeb, this is how you get to where you need to go. And then we'll go to the next slide. And so when you go in, you're going to go to the secretary console. And then you're going to go there, and then that's where you'll be able to put in your dates. You'll be able to find your schedule, put in game reports, all that kind of stuff. And so that would be strictly for an NCAA game. Some of the D2 and D3 conferences will be using ZebraWeb as well. So that's where you'd find that information. Next slide, please. And so here's your officials tab, and that's going to give you all the information that you need for setting up your photo. And I highly recommend the very first thing you do is go in and put a picture of yourself on ZebraWeb as well as an Arbiter Sports, because a lot of times you're going to be working with fellow officials that don't know who you are and probably don't even know what you look like. And by putting a picture in there, when they click on your name, they'll get a picture of you. So that way, when they see you in the parking lot, they'll recognize you. So I highly recommend that you do that. Next slide. And so, and then it's the same thing for MCLA, and you'll go in and you'll get all your assignments from your assigner through Arbiter Sports. If you're working a lot of MCLA games, it's the same thing. The one thing that's nice about Arbiter is if you're working your local high school league or any other sports, those dates will automatically block you if you've accepted an assignment at a different level or a different organization that's part of Arbiter Sports. You know, and it's one of those things that if you're an MCLA official and you accept a high school game, you need to work with your assigner, both in high school and in MCLA, and let them be aware of, you know, you'd rather work an MCLA game over a high school game. And so just let them know, and the more you communicate with your assigners, the better off you're going to be as an official. And also, one thing to really be cognizant of is a conflict of interest. You know, many times we feel that, oh, well, you know, being official, I really won't have a conflict of interest. But you never know who's watching. An example is there was a guy who received his very first college football game here this last season, shows up to work a game at his alma mater, and the TV director recognized him. that is something that you need to bring up in the very beginning. If you played at a school, you need to be aware of that conflict, whether it's true or not. You should always mark it down. If you have a child going to that school, you should still have that as a conflict of interest. Or if you've coached with the coach of that school or played with the coach of that school, that would be considered a conflict of interest. So let's just make sure that you're aware of all those particulars. Next one, please.
Joe, I want to stop you real quick and touch on this because this is so very important. This is a great place to pick up the phone and call your governor. There is a far bigger difference between a person who discloses a potential conflict that is then disclosed to their governor. The governor can then choose to disclose it to the assigner. And then the assigner can choose to assign you due to substantial need. Then not sharing that conflict of interest, thinking it's no big deal, not recognizing that La Crosse is an extremely small community, and then finding out about it after the fact and embarrassing NILOA, your assigner, and your governor. Disclose it if you are unsure and let them help you through this process. It's the first time I've interrupted anybody tonight, and there is a substantial reason why. I'm sorry, Joe, please continue.
Not a problem, PGA. I mean, I just think that that's a very important topic to cover. If you go into Arbiter Sports, you can see your calendar and view the dates that you want to block. You'll also see days where you have games scheduled and so forth. And so just remember to always check in on your calendar and to check into Arbiter Sports regularly if you're an MCLA official. You know that in the MCLA, there's a ladder of progression. And it doesn't matter if you're an MCLA or in fact, even if you're an NCAA official. You know, just like some others have said, always aspire to be the best you can be and be a sponge. You know, if you want to grow and the cream always rises to the top, you know, always accept your games on time, you know, and don't disparage fellow officials. You know, if you feel like you should have been the referee or the umpire or the field judge, accept the game that you've been given and treat that game as if it's the national championship of that day for those two teams. You know, and then try to work yourself up. Try to go and talk to the referee of the game you're working and in that notepad. You know, always ask questions. No question is not serious enough to not be asked. You know, sometimes questions don't really make a lot of sense, but it's better to ask the question than not to and keep it within yourself. You know, and then try to aspire to grow and become a regional playoff game within your conference. You know, the championship game of that conference, whether it's a Division A or Division B, that's it. You know, always set yourself goals for each season of where you want to get. You know, and then as you grow in the MCLA, and now with NILOA and with the MCLA partnership, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for fellow officials that are NILOA members to be able to have that opportunity to get NCAA games by observation and by just, you know, word of mouth and attending clinics and all that kind of stuff. You're going to put yourself in a position to be an NCAA official if you work hard and try to promote yourself. This just talks about the MCLA National Championship that we had this last spring in Round Rock, Texas. And there were 16 officials that were assigned from all across the country to represent their particular district to officiate those games. And we had some local officials that helped with the first few rounds of the games. It's an honor and it's a national championship, and the tournament is run very well by the MCLA, and the play is spectacular, as many you could imagine it that have been there. Let your assigner know if you want to improve your assignments, or you want to become a referee, or you want to try to get to an NCAA, or you want to be seen or observed. Go to your assigner, but first, your first year, I would say work through your governors. Your governors are your best advocate. They pushed for you to become a new NILOA member, and they're going to push for you to get all those opportunities. All I can say is you just need to communicate with your governors and your assistant governors, and the cream will rise to the top. So here's your way to become successful. Go to trainings whenever there's a training. Go to the conference calls that we're going to have during the season. If you have any Zoom trainings with your local officials within your organization, go there. Have rules clinics with friends, attend webinars, watch film. There's a way to train your eyes, and by watching film, you're going to train your eyes. If you play the film at a little higher speed, you're going to train your eyes to pick up that foul. You're going to see stuff at a higher speed so that when the game happens, it's going to feel like it's in slow motion. Ask some of the experienced referees if you can sit in on their pre-games and sit and watch their game and take notes, and then go to their post-game and listen to how they talk to one another and critique one another during the game. And always reach out and find somebody to mentor you. You can always see the best officials that are out there and the R's that you like and the ones that you understand how they work, you understand their personality. Reach out to them. I don't know of an official, especially an experienced official, if you reach out to them, who's not going to give you the help and the encouragement that you need to be successful. So try to find a mentor. And this is just a map of all the districts and who the governors are. So you should know what district you're in and who your district governor is and who your district assistant governor is. And the following few slides just kind of lay that out of who's who in each district. And we can make this slide presentation available to you too, so that you have this information. And Greg, I'm pretty sure that the governors and assistant governors are on NILOA.net. But if not, we can actually get that put up there. Be ready to be observed. We're going to try, one of our goals for the next few years is to try to observe as many MCLA officials as we can, so that you have a chance and an opportunity to grow your game and to become a better official. Other than that, that's pretty much everything I have from the MCLA side, PJ. Back to you.
Joe, thank you so much. And I also want to reiterate thanks to Bob Pradella from Florida in helping you to set this up. Certainly appreciate all that Bob does behind the scenes for MCLA in trying to assist so many different conferences around the country get themselves more organized. Guys, we're going to move on to if NILOA has a heart and a circulatory system, that heart and circulatory system is our executive director, Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, it's all yours. He is our ED. He is the person who bridges multiple executive committees, multiple generations. He is our historian. He is our past and our present. Kevin, take it away.
Thanks, BJ. Start off by congratulating all you guys for what you've accomplished to this point. I can tell you that we've been refining and changing and updating the tryout process for the last 7 to 8 years with the help of Mike Infantino and Greg Height. I think we've got it where we want it to be. I want to congratulate and thank the governors and assistant governors. To this point, it has been the smoothest and simplest process from registration to tryout to getting you guys onto the system and so forth that we've ever had. And that's a testament to those governors, assistant governors, to Mike and to Greg and to each one of you. If you want to go ahead, Mark and Papa, what I'm going to speak on today is a game report. There's different avenues of reporting that take place during the season. This is a form that is for your NCAA games. There's a similar form for the MCLA, and we'll go over that at a later date, so we don't keep you too much longer this evening. As you can see from the form, the portions of this that are populated by the game itself is who was submitted by the game number, the date, who the referee, the field judge, and the umpire are, where the game, the date that this is being submitted, the location, the game time, the league that you refereed, the two teams, and the score you have to put in. The elapsed time is important to us, so we see if we're taking too long on some of these games. The most important button and the most important question on this entire form is the one that's now at the top that says unusual game conditions and circumstances. Let me just talk about that for a second. If you put yes in there, then the circumstance, the no unusual circumstances changes to that there were something that occurred during that game. If that happens, this report, if that form is filled out that there's no unusual game situations that occurred, then that form is logged into the Zebra Web system, can be viewed by the assigners, any assigner in the country, and also by myself. If you hit that button, then that form is then sent to the conference that's associated with both the teams, your national assigner, myself, your assigner who assigns you to that game. And so a lot of wheels get turning when that happens. So for a second or two here, I just want to discuss why this report is important. Obviously, the referee fills this report out. You guys won't be referees for a couple of years, most likely, so you'll have opportunity to gain some experience in this before you have to do it. The most important thing is when you have something that occurs in a game, something that is, you know, that's unusual. You have a fight, you have unsportsmanlike conducts, you have big time clock problems, you have problems with fans after a game, you have problems with the security at the site, you have problems with the locker room. We've got to be careful what language we use, how we fill this form out. If it's unusual circumstances and there's an ejection or there's a fight, the referee is to call the assigner immediately. And your role in this is to support the referee in this form and what needs to happen. So the game is over. It's not shake hands, great job, get in your car and go home. It's take a couple minutes, whether you're at an MCLA game that you're dressed in the parking lot, an MCLA game where you have locker room, an NCAA game with all those circumstances, to take that deep breath, come off the field, debrief for a few minutes, and then look your referee in the eye and say, is there anything you need for the game report? You know, whether it's an unsportsmanlike conduct, what the number was, going on the website and getting the name. But the most important thing is to pick that phone up. Every assigner would rather know that there's a problem coming his way from the referee than from a coach or an administrator at that site. It's very important that the three of you understand what's going to happen to that report when unusual circumstances is checked, so that the three of you have, quote, your stories together, that you know what you saw, you know what you believe you saw, and you report it accurately. We can't have situations where we have unsportsmanlike conducts and ejections, and you'll see on this form down the bottom, you're going to rate the coaches and you're going to rate the players. We can't give them fives when we've got ejections or when we got unsportsmanlike conducts. This report is only seen by your assigner, myself, and the conference. It's not seen by the institution until an administrator at that institution wants to know, you know, what happened in the game and what did the officials report. Then we share this report with them. Sometimes it's not the complete report, but it's portions of it, you know, that are important to their institutions, to their players, to their coaches. We've had situations in the past where you eject number 13 for fighting, go back to the film, and it was number 31. No problem. No problem. That's an acceptable mistake. We've all made it. Things happen at warp speed during games. Just do the best job we can to report what accurately happens during that game. So most important thing in your role as a newer official is to understand that this report exists, that you have a conversation with your referee, after the game, especially if he's going to check the unusual circumstances. You had expulsions, you had unsportsmanlike conducts, you had an injury, a serious injury that you want to report, what you had on that play, and then have a conversation about how you're going to rate, the teams and the coaches, so that you have input into this form, and then the referee will then will submit this form. And again, depending upon how the form is filled out, as to who actually sees this. But as soon as that unusual circumstances is highlighted, everybody and their brother who was involved in that game, national signers, local signers, myself, conference people, are going to see this report. We talked briefly. If you have any questions on this report, if you have any questions on anything on this, don't hesitate. You'll have my email address, because I'm going to send out a blast memo to everybody tomorrow about availability. You'll have my email address will be on there. Don't ever hesitate to pick up the phone, call me, hit me with a text or an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But the most important thing is, have your story straight as to what happened during the game, and that you have input into this report. Conflict of interest, we talked about that briefly. It's important. As Joe talked about, a football official, our policy is that you are to let us know on Zebra Web your conflicts of interest. Could be your alma mater. If you have a child that attends a school, you have a child or a relative that coaches or is employed at that school. And as we said, PJ was 100% correct. We'd rather know about that conflict of interest, have a discussion. It's been brought to the board's attention a couple of times, and we've said, that's fine. That guy can referee there, or no, it's not a good situation. During the season, something comes up. There's something that is, that we hopefully don't have a lot of these, and we have to deal with. We do have an ethics board. It's made up of members of the executive board. It's also made up of governors. We get together, we discuss what the ethics situation is. I can tell you that we police ours harder than the coaches and the institutions will police their own. We have suspended people for a game. We've taken 3 to 5 games away for people for not doing things that in the right manner that fits the profile of a NCAA official and an NILOA official. We've also, in very rare circumstances, suspended people for a season. It's important that you're in good standing with U.S. Lacrosse. It's important that you're in good standing with your high school association. We have one that we're dealing with right now where an individual is not in good situation standing with his high school association, and so we're gonna have problems on the NILOA end because of that. Covering a couple other things real quickly. Most important on that Zebra Web system, Joe showed you. You go to where it says official. You hit that and it says my mileage. You hit that tab. It's going to give every school in the country, every site that's in the system, any site that you think you're going to be assigned to. You hit the button that says CALC, which is calc, to calculate. You hit that. It's going to give you the one-way mileage. Go down to the bottom of the page and save it. This could be one of the most important things that you do, because when the assigners go to assign, they're going to assign based on distance from a facility or from an institution. If you have not done this, your name will not show up. I'll start checking you guys the middle of next week to make sure you have done this. Uniforms, as you know, the NILOA board, and I think it's fantastic. As part of your initiation fee, you're going to receive a short sleeve and a long sleeve jersey. You're also going to receive the official NILOA jacket. As of 6 o'clock tonight, 54 of the 82 of you have done this, so we got 28 of you who haven't. If you're not sure how you do that, there's a link. Your governor has that link. I have the link. Mike has the link. Just reach out to us and we'll get that taken care of. We'd like to get that order in by Monday or Tuesday of next week so that everybody receives their stuff by the end of the year or the beginning of January for the season. Covered a lot. There's a lot, obviously, that's been covered during this call. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, and don't hesitate to reach out to me at any time to assist you in any of this. And again, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Part of the reason we're recording this, guys, is if you want to replay parts of it, you can. Mark is going to provide that, and that'll be up on, I believe, on niloa.net as well. Gentlemen, we have a responsibility to each other beyond just what happens on that day. If any of the incidents that Kevin is describing, if you ever feel unsafe, if there's ever extreme incidents with the clock or the field, if there are ever significant issues beyond the norm as it relates to unsportsmanlike conduct, sticking your head in the sand and deciding not to make waves is hurting the next crew that's coming to that site or that contest. We have a responsibility beyond just that day. Secondly, I realize that many of these faces are new to you. Kevin O'Leary is new. Joe Cronin is new. The governors you may have only met once or twice. We are on your side. We might be the only ones on your side. You don't ever not tell Kevin or your governors the truth. When the stuff that we handle internally is handled internally, it's not the right time to decide I am going to control my story when I'm communicating with our executive director and our governors. We are the first line of defense as it relates to anything else that is happening, especially for the younger guys. We get it, and there's not a single person who wasn't wearing the stripes who wasn't where you are now. Lastly, we have a chain of command, and it's a chain of command that we take very seriously. I understand that many of you on this call tonight might not be in the referee position this upcoming year. It is not your job. You can have an opinion, but at the end of the day, it is the referee's opinion that carries the day. If you are asked questions, you answer them honestly. But we do not disagree in public with our crew chiefs. Okay? So let's leave sunny Florida and let's go up to the 4 feet of snow in Buffalo, New York, where we will turn this over to the teacher, coach, and board member, Robbie Gross. Robbie Gross.
Thank you, PJ. Looks like I'm the server trying not to spill dessert. My job tonight to talk about expectations of a professional organization. And, this isn't meant to be insulting. I know a lot of it will come off as common sense. This is really just to make sure everybody's on the same page moving from this meeting. It's really how to be a good member. And really what you have to remember is that some of these coaches, this is their livelihood. And for other coaches where it may not be paying all of their bills, this is their passion. And they deserve our best every day. And that's year round, not just for those 2 hours that we're on the field. First point is be easy to assign. Make sure your availability is updated. Accept your assignments right away. Don't make an assigner wonder if you can take that game or not. If your availability is accurate, you'll take that right away. They'll know that they can count on you. Someone mentioned uploading the picture. I think it may have been Joe. When you do upload that picture, try to make it professional. You don't have to go out and get a professional photographer or throw a tie on. Maybe a shirt with a collar, something you would wear golfing. You don't want to be it doesn't want to be a picture of you in a boat holding up the large salmon that you caught because you're a proud fisherman or one of those situations. These coaches want to know who's on their game, and the good ones are checking the assigning system as well, and they know exactly who's coming there. And their first impression of you isn't going to be, congratulations, that guy caught a big mouth bass. So something professional for your picture is a good idea. When it comes down to the actual game week, call your partners ahead of time, at least 72 hours ahead. Don't wait for the crew chief and decide, hey, you know what, I'm waiting for him to call me. Take the initiative. All right, call them ahead of time, find out what time you're meeting, find out where you're meeting. Most of these schools, you've probably never been there before. Get on the same page. Don't just count on the crew chief, and impress your crew chief with that. Our preparation starts long before that game. So obviously rules knowledge, a few people have mentioned today, I don't want to be redundant, but you can't get enough of that rule book. The night before every college game, I read Rule 7 because that has the most potential for things to go wrong. So have your nose in the rule books, which is, part of your professional preparation during the week. Leave extra time. Decide what how you're going to dress. Crew chief's call. Business casual is the minimum standard. I'm a shirt and tie guy because I just am. All right, but it's up to the crew chief. Business casual is acceptable. No jeans, hoodies, sneakers, things like that. Something that just jumped into my head that isn't on my list. We pulled into a school and they had 3 spots reserved for us. And this one official had a bumper sticker of an institution. And the 2 schools who were playing that were not in that school's conference. But the first thing the coach said to us is, "Who's the guy with the blank university bumper sticker?" So something to think about too as you're getting to these places. Make sure that what you're wearing is neutral. Leave extra time. Weather, traffic, finding out where you're going. If you're late for a game, your brain's scrambled for most of that game. It's hard to come down when you're late for a game. I've been to places for the first time where I parked next to the stadium and my partners didn't have cell reception in the locker room. And I was given information. It took me 20, 25 minutes to find the locker room. So especially if you're going to a place for the first time, which will be most of your situations, leave yourself that extra time. Don't be the guy who's counting on speeding and knowing where the radar is. Any issues that happen with the crew, PJ touched on this. That's got to be behind closed doors. That's in the clubhouse. That's in the locker room. That's not on the field. We'll talk about, your overall demeanor, before, during the game, after the game. Don't be a palms in the air guy. All right. Don't be the guy who looks like he's questioning things, especially as a newer official. On the field, there are some things to talk about after. You know what? Get off the field, get your shower, go home. Get off the field, go to your car. If you don't have a locker room, go home. Decide where the meeting spot is for you and your partners to debrief. By the way, the best learning I've done, some of the best learning I've done as a lacrosse official is in the car, carpooling with somebody, or at the post game. Those stories and the things you talk about can't be replaced. So just a side note, a lot of learning, good valuable learning can go on in those situations. During the game, I kind of will steal something that Walt said, sometimes firm hand or gentle approach. There are guys out there, they don't want to see you smiling and having a good time. You need to have a good time and relax. Know your audience, know your situation. As you get to know these coaches better, you'll understand, and as you get more experience, you'll understand when you can say something that, might be construed as sort of a joke, and other times it could be just taken completely the wrong way, and you're done to that coach as far as they're concerned every time they see you after that. So your game management will fall back on those skills. I mean, everybody here is professional and qualified. You would have been recommended. Use your common sense on that. Don't set yourself up for failure with a coach. Don't get into that argumentative kind of, whiny, disagreeing voice with a guy. We know that way is going to bring us trouble. Don't be the traffic cop with the guy. Off the field, there should never be a reason for you to email a coach. It should not occur. If a coach emails you, your next button is forward. You send that to your assigner. All right, there's no response. He may say 8, 10, 12 things that are untrue. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. If your assigner tells you to write a reply, that's a different story. Reply all. Copy yourself. But hopefully we don't have to deal with that. Social media. I'm still amazed. I'm looking at something today with one of our international officials that I'm still shocked that people haven't. The learning curve on social media, I guess is what I'm trying to say, it has been bending slowly. You never want to post your assignments. You never want to post something about another school, even if you don't think you'll ever work at that school. All right, it's don't do it. All right, we're definitely not going to put things up about another official. Does that mean you can't have any lacrosse posts? No, that's not what I'm saying. As PJ alluded to, once in a while it snows here. And the first game of the year, we were on the highway and we had thunder snow. And posted something on Facebook. Here's the lightning bolt hitting in Erie, Pennsylvania, and didn't say where we were going. Just said lacrosse season has started, and so we're not saying you have to be, completely oblivious. You have to live your life, but use your head with your social media. That also concerns things that have nothing to do with lacrosse. All right. Use your heads. I'm done preaching you about that one, but I'm still shocked that almost weekly it seems like there's something going on with social media with some guys. Ask questions and take criticism. Since you're so new in your career here at the college level, do you want to be known as a team guy or a toxic guy? The team guy is asking questions. He's approachable. He's coachable. Things that guys have already mentioned. The toxic guy looks around and wants to see who's on that bigger game, allegedly bigger game. They're all big guys. they're paying their mortgages with wins. They're all big. Are you the guy who can worry about who's where and this guy, he's not very good and he missed that call? Or are you the guy who's the team guy trying to lift everybody up? Doug Donovan, who's not on this call, had a conflict. He said something to me that I didn't know how true it was until it happened. He said, at some point, you're going to stop looking at the left side of your schedule and start looking at the right side of your schedule. And the left side are the teams, the schools, where you're going. But the right side are your partners. And I'm at that point now where I'm not as worried about where I'm going. Sure, I glance at it, but I want to know who am I with? Who am I with this week? Are these guys who have my back? Are these guys who are going to go through battles with me and support me no matter what? Are they good guys, good for our organization, good guys for lacrosse? Or are they that toxic guy? Obviously, I think everybody here knows which one they would like to be considered. Have that notebook or that iPad or that phone, take notes, be coachable. Walt's one of my mentors. Here I am taking notes on what he said. Walt's talking, I'm writing. So have that notebook. And one thing that maybe wasn't mentioned in the observation piece, if you 100% disagree with an observer, just nod your head. All right? It's not their first rodeo. You can get in the car and disagree with them. You can get in the car and call your crewmates and disagree. Just keep nodding your head as that observer's talking. They've been around a time or two. All right? And lastly, have fun and be coachable. You are responsible for your own success. You can't control assignments, but you can control your attitude, your demeanor, your professionalism, and all the other things that the other guys on this call have mentioned. Those are the things you can control. So you are responsible for your own success. Hopefully I made it within my time limits, and congratulations, guys.
I will tell you that I think every single person on this call play what it is that you just said. And gentlemen, if you can do everything that Rob just said for your career, then you're going to have a very successful career in NILOA, 100%. Thank you, Rob. Gentlemen, that concludes our presentation. I hope that you are getting the sense that this is a journey. This is a journey that you should enjoy. It is not a short one. There are no short pathways to where it is that you want to get to in this game. It will take years. There's nothing wrong with that. It's right and proper. You will make mistakes. There's nothing, what we hope that you don't make the same mistake again. We hope you learn for them. There is nobody on this screen who hasn't made mistakes out on the field. But we're on this screen because hopefully over the years we have learned from those mistakes and we don't repeat them. And also, because of that, I hope you get the sense that we are very sensitive and we watch carefully about how we treat each other within this organization for the men who do make mistakes. We don't look at the screen and we don't look at training videos and take joy in the mistakes of our brethren. What we do is we go, geez, you know what? That stinks that happened to them. We look at it, we try and figure out how it is they made that mistake, hope to learn from it, and we can do better, and grow and then support them in that journey. That's who we are. That's what NILOA is. We are brotherhood and we are responsible for each other, because I can assure you, only ones who are responsible for each other. We're it. It's us looking at the game in an extremely unique way, serving a very necessary but unique purpose. And I welcome you to our group, and I hope and pray, like everybody else on this call, that you will help take our group to a higher level in the years to come. Thank you for your time, gentlemen, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.